Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Laughter for All. It's good to be back. I've been on tour. I was in several states this year. This month. I was in Nashville and Knoxville, Tennessee. I was in Indiana. I was in Colorado for 3 days. Before that, I was in Detroit, Hawaii, and so good to be back for a few weeks and be with you guys. Let's see. My guest today is Butch Hartman. He's an American animator, director, writer, producer, actor, and voice actor, best known for creating the Nickelodeon cartoons, The Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, and Bunsen is a Beast. So if you love any of these shows and you want to join us, and you'll be able to ask questions and let's be appropriate, let's be good with the questions. But I'll tell you what, this is the first time I go live on TikTok. So we're also live on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube and other channels. So I'm going to be trying to keep an eye on both, you know, looking at both screens. So bear with me. This is new to us doing what do you call it? The TikTok. So anyway, I'd like to welcome my friend Charlie Sheen. Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Are you out
Hello.
of rehab?
Yes, I am. It's a whole new world. Thank you, Comedian Nazareth. How are you? Actually, it's just friendly little Butch Hartman here. I just happen to have these sunglasses. You said I look like Charlie Sheen, so I thought I'd put them on. So
You look, he looks like you. You're Butch Hartman. You're the one that a generations of kids that loved you. My kids loved the Fairly Odd Parents. They just loved it and watched it. And you created that, right?
I did. I created that show from top to bottom. Yes, I created that idea back in October of 1997, and I pitched it to Nickelodeon. We made one short cartoon in 1998, and then they really liked the one short cartoon I did. So they gave me about six or seven more to do. I made those pretty much by myself. I had one or two people helping me. And then once I got about five or six of them done, we focus tested them, and it became an actual full-blown series in the year 2000. It aired in 2001. Only 6 half hours were made at first, and it aired in March of 2001. And then it did so well, those first 6 half hours, that they ordered a whole bunch more. But it was too. They had to wait another year for me to get them all done, so they had to rerun those first 6 half hours for a year. But the ratings kept going up.
Now, to write an hour of that show, how long it took you actually to draw and to animate and
Well, the cool thing is we didn't really write it as an hour. Like each story wasn't an hour long. We did about our shows were always in 11-minute segments. So if you watch a half-hour episode of The Fairly Odd Parents, you'd have a half hour, 30 minutes, but you only have 22 minutes of cartoon, meaning you have two 11-minute episodes. So there's one episode with a beginning, middle, and end, and then another episode with a beginning, middle, and end, and then you have 8 minutes of commercials. And so you'd have basically two stories per half hour that you had to come up with. And it was a lot of fun, very challenging, but that show ran from 2001 to 2018. It ran for 17 years.
and so how many people are involved? People don't understand when they watch a cartoon and stuff. Now, how do you first of all, how do you come up with the idea? Like for each episode, how do you come up with the idea?
Well, you're asking a bunch of questions, so I'll try and answer them as quick as I can.
Okay.
The How do I idea? Well, let me ask you a question. How do you come up with ideas for your amazing jokes?
Yeah, but my ideas, I don't have. I mean, I can write a bit and then use it for a couple of years, 3 years sometimes. Some bits people keep asking for, but you have to like every week you have to come up with two new
Yeah,
stories. And
a story. It's interesting. It depends on the show, but every story has a beginning, middle, and end. At least a good story should. And so, when we would do The Fairly Odd Parents, our lead character was a character named Timmy Turner. He was a 10-year-old boy. In fact, there's Timmy right. Where's Timmy? Right there. That's Timmy right there. This guy right here. And he
uh-huh.
he was 10 years old. And so you're like, what is Timmy's problem today? Why can kids relate to? So yeah, he doesn't want to get a haircut. Okay, doesn't want to get a haircut, but he has two magical fairies that can grant any wish he wants. So it's like, how does a kid doesn't want to get a haircut use his magic? And so maybe a story idea would be, okay, he wishes for indestructible hair. Oh, that's funny. So now he has hair that no one can cut. So at first it's getting amazing. It looks incredible, like Elvis, looks awesome. But then it gets out of control and takes over the whole city. And that's a story. That's how we would make that story. And
So
we actually made that story. It's called Hurricane.
now that means you have to stay up to date of what kids are going through, and you have to like think like a 10-year-old for a while, right?
Oh yeah, I think like a 10-year-old all the time anyway. But yeah, when you write a show, the thing Nickelodeon's rule was back in the day, it might still be that, I'm not there anymore, but their rule was every show has to star a kid. Every show has to be a kid point of view. So when your show is about a kid, you've got to come up with a kid's point of view. What is it about this kid that people want to see? Why is this kid interesting? What's this kid going through? Because kids are watching and they want to see kids they can relate to. So Timmy's 10 years old. He's not worried about his taxes. He's not worried about a mortgage. He's not worried about marriage. He's worried about ice cream. He's worried about, video games. He's worried about getting beat up by the bully, those kind of things. So how can we put that into a story?
That's interesting. Before I go on, can you show us your office? This is amazing.
Oh, my office? You want to see the office?
Yeah, I would like to see the office. Wouldn't you guys like to see the office?
Let's ask the fans if they want to see the office.
Okay,
Everyone say yes. If you want to see the office.
Let's see.
Yes, we get 5 yeses. We get 5 yeses. We'll see the office.
Okay, guys, we need 5 yeses, either on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube.
Yes.
Let's see. Here's a
There's
one
a
yes
yes.
from Chris Rossetti in San Francisco.
I see. We got Chris. Good.
Another yes from Wisconsin, Matthew.
I got a whole bunch of yeses. I see. Yeah, we got it. We got 5. Okay.
Sarah from Washington, Ellen Goodwin from California, and Michelle from Ohio. Let's do it.
Boom. All right. So here's my wall of art, and I've got all my knickknacks and toys over there. There's a Danny Phantom poster from back in the day. I'll even show you this Danny Phantom poster. This is one of the first posters we ever made of Danny Phantom. It says, there's all this glare, but it says, there's a ghoul in school. Danny Phantom. It premiered Saturday, April 3rd at 9:30 p.m. It came on after the Kids' Choice Awards in 2004, which was really cool. And I'm making a new cartoon right now called The Garden. And that's it right there. That's Lenny the Lion. And that's Lucy the Lamb. They live in a magic garden. And we had a press release come out about this cartoon. It's a Christian cartoon. It's going to be like Veggie Tales. That's coming out soon. Here is another Timmy Turner and his fairies here. They turn into goldfish in his bedroom. They magically turn.
I remember that. I used to watch it with my kids.
And here's a Lego Danny Phantom right here. This is made entirely of Legos. And a Lego Wanda. Check that out. Wait, there's Wanda right there. She's a Lego Wanda. And then let me see here. We have, it's kind of cool. In this area, turn the lights on. We have a huge costume of Lenny the Lion from the garden and Lucy the Lamb. There they are. We use them for personal appearances. We just had them made. They haven't been to many places yet, but you're going to be seeing a lot more of them. And I'm also illustrating a children's. Oh, here's hold on. Here's a cell from Bunsen is a Beast, Nickelodeon. You can see that right there. And these are some drawings. I'm illustrating a children's Bible. And here's a picture of Lenny and Lucy. You can see there's the manger with Jesus right there, and there's Lenny and Lucy. And this Bible will be out next March. And you'll be able to see Lenny and Lucy in this Bible, plus the cartoon will be out. And a lot of kids will be able to enjoy Lenny and Lucy's adventures and stuff. So that's just part of the
office. That's a huge office.
Yeah, this is my other show, Tough Pup, on Nickelodeon from 2010 to 2014. That was a great show. It's a secret agent dog right there. And that's his sidekick, Kitty Catswell, who's an amazing secret agent. And so, and here's a Batman figure I have that's really cool. And his head comes off.
He looks angry.
Yeah, his head comes off. If my head came off, I would be angry too. So, that's a small tour.
That's a big office. How many people work for you to do these things?
I've got about maybe 15, 20 people, but they don't work in this office. I have a few that work here, but many of them work online now across the country, and we have a lot of artists all over the place. That's the beauty. Someone's asking where will that cartoon be shown. We're actually going to be announcing that soon, and I'll let you guys know. I promise you that we'll let you guys know when it's going to come out.
Now, let me ask you this. Okay, so you're starting. You did the Fairly Odd Parents. You created each character.
Yep.
You have to give all of these characters on the show were created by you, right? And
Well, I created all the original characters when I first got the show going. Created
Mm.
a ton of the original characters, and but as the show was moving on, and we had to do episode after episode over the years, sometimes we would collectively think of characters like, oh, Timmy, we need is an outer space. We need a villain. What could the villain's name be? So sometimes characters, once the series is rolling, a team of writers will create a character, but I created the bulk of them. Yes, about 80%.
now you create them, and then you give them the voices. You say, okay, this one sounds like this, or do you do the voices yourself sometimes?
Well, sometimes you'll be in a room and you'll be like, "Oh, Timmy, I'm your father," and you do a voice like that, or you go like, "Oh, my, he's a little tiny guy like this, talks like this, right?" And so you'll have to either hire an actor to do that voice, or you do the voice yourself. It's like, "Oh no, Mr. Krabs, that's like SpongeBob SquarePants." If you wanted to do a voice like that, or if you're Homer Simpson, and I don't know, Marge, I'm not popular enough to be different. You could do voices like that. So it depends the actor that you want to hire. It depends on what the character is. If the character's kind of dumb like Homer, you would do this sort of thing. But if he's brave and strong like a superhero, you would do a voice like this. So that's the sort of thing you have to look
And
out for when you're creating a character.
And how do you remember? Like, let's say a year you did the Fairly Odd Car for like 17 years, 6 years into it, and how do you remember doing that same exact voice?
Well, what you do is you hire an amazing voice actor at the beginning of the run. You're like, if you we'll have you voice this. Listen, because at the beginning, no one really knows how things are going to go. You don't know if it's going to go great or if it's going to go poorly. You just don't know. But after we start moving along, well, you have an actor to come in. They do the voices. Someone asks if I know Katie Lee. I do know Katie Lee. Um,
Yes, she's
I do know
amazing. I
Katie
had
Lee.
her on the show.
Great voice actress. And but sometimes you hire your actors at the beginning. You do an episode. If the company orders another one, you do another one. You use the same actors. You don't fix it if it's not broke usually. And if the actor is doing great, and if the actor can help add, like you'll write a funny line of dialogue, but if the actor can add to it, make it even better, that helps a lot. If the actor's funny too.
Right now, when you draw the characters for does it go into it have like a computer animation that will make them move and do the different things,
Well,
right?
yeah, there's a different way to do everything. Like these characters, for example, this character Danny Phantom,
Yeah.
is hand drawn, but back in the day with Disney, they would do cells. The plastic cells. They would draw them on the cell. We don't do the plastic cell anymore. You basically draw them on animation paper and scan into a computer. Then you can color on something like an iPad, like this. You can color it on an iPad. It makes it faster, but you still have to draw them by hand.
Wow, that's a lot of time. So one episode, how long does it take you and your team to finish in one episode?
About
How many?
about 20 years ago, it would take us about 10 months to do one episode from start to finish. And that's doing one. It's like a conveyor belt. You write one, it goes down the line, and you write another one, it goes down the line. So you're always in the process of making or finishing or starting an episode. So it's like a conveyor belt. But nowadays, the animation techniques are a little bit faster. So it takes about 6 months to make an episode now, not 10. We've shaved the time down. Sometimes, depending on the length of the episode, if it's 11 minutes, it's about 6 months. If
Wow.
um, if it's
Now,
a feature film, that's a couple of years.
okay, before I continue, I want to ask you, you were born where and how did you get to where you're at today?
I was born in Michigan, and I moved. I'm going to close my blinds. I got these Sam Spade, Humphrey Bogart lines across my face right here. There we go. Um, I was born in Michigan, and I came out to California in 1983. An
Uh-huh.
animator for Walt Disney, and I went to school. I went to a school called Cal Arts, and I always thought I would work for Disney. And through my entire career, I've never worked for Disney. I've worked everywhere else.
And when did you find out like I can draw and I can do voices, I can do that?
Well, when I was a kid, I knew I could draw when I was in kindergarten. I always tell this story. Um, it's not a very fascinating story, but I tell it. When I was a little kid in kindergarten, our teacher asked us to draw a picture of her. And I just drew a picture, thought nothing of it. But she tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This picture is amazing." She started ranting about the picture and raving about it in front of all the other kids. Look how great this picture is. And she hung it up on the wall. I remember her going to get another teacher to bring her down the hall to show her how great the picture was. And at that point, I went, wow, I can really get attention from adults. So a little kid, so I started drawing more to get attention, and then I really realized I liked it. I used to watch Saturday morning cartoons all the time, the Jetsons and Scooby-Doo and things like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a VCR or a way to pause the TV at the time. I had to draw the characters as quickly as I could. I'd practice drawing them, and all my friends were outside playing baseball and sports. I just wanted to draw at home.
Now, what is your parent thought of your career, like going in that direction?
Well, my dad at first was a little nervous because my dad was an auto worker and didn't know how a kid who was drawing cartoons could ever make a living. And I understand that. I mean, if you don't do it, you don't understand. But my dad always supported me. He built me my first drawing table, and he really supported me. My mom supported me. They both did. And eventually, when I went to college, they were fine with it. I went from Michigan to California. What it was a big culture shock, and
Right.
went to California to learn how to be an animator. And fortunately, all the people that taught at the school at Cal Arts were Disney animation people. So I got a lot of exposure, learned about the industry, and that's what I want to tell everybody out there. If you want to get into any industry, you have to immerse yourself in the industry. You can't hope to be a baseball player and never go into a baseball stadium. You have to learn, you have to be around it, you have to immerse yourself. I had to immerse myself in animation school, be around animators all the time. That's all we talked about was animation and cartoons and filmmaking and storytelling. And that really helps you move your career forward.
That's amazing. And what do you call? You're a Christian man, and when? How did
Yeah.
that happen, or when did you?
I
Was
got I accepted Christ as my savior. I was raised in a very ungodly home as far as like I don't mean it's ungodly, but like I there was no God in my house at all. No one ever talked about church or God or Jesus or anything. But there was always something tapping at my heart my whole life. I always knew something bigger was out there. I'd talk about it, I'd think about it. And then when I got married in 1992, my wife and I were both unsaved people. We both got saved in the year 2000.
together?
And well, she got saved before that, but then she rededicated herself in 2000 when I got saved. So I got baptized in the year 2001 after 9/11 happened. I realized I better get baptized. And yeah, I did. And I got baptized and I dove head first. I wanted to learn as much as I could about what everybody was talking about because Christianity is so controversial in so many ways. But I really felt that was Jesus calling to me, and so I really felt like I needed to learn more about him.
Now, being a man of faith in Hollywood, or you're in the business you're in, how did you maneuver your way around?
Well, I got saved. I was already in. I started working in the industry in 1986, and so by the time I got saved in 2000, I'd been in the industry for 16 years. And when I got saved, I started talking about Christ a lot, and that's the last thing people want you to do is talk about Christ a lot, you know.
Right.
But and I understood that because I used to be a person who wanted to hear nothing about Christ, But then I used to mock Christianity because, of course, I didn't understand it. When you don't understand, you mock, you make fun because you don't understand. And
Right.
Christianity is very convicting. It's very convicting, not convicting where it's rules and punishment. It's not supposed to be anyway. Some people treat it like that. But Christianity is convicting because it's a heart situation. Your heart's being changed. So people don't want their heart changed sometimes. And when you talk about Christ, that's the truth. And sometimes the truth bugs people, and
Mm.
listen, it bugged me. But once I accepted the truth and realized that I had to change, I had many things in my life to change. I was able to embrace it more. And I had to learn how to explain it to people too. I had to learn how to explain the word to people, and how do you explain Christ to people. And the Jesus and the Holy Spirit will show you that, if you just ask. All you have to do is ask, and you'll be slowly led down that path. God will never drop you into a situation you're not ready for. We will sometimes put ourselves in situations we're not ready for, but the Lord won't do that.
Now, did that kind of started reflecting on your animation and the storylines, or were you started
Well,
avoiding certain thing and adding
that's a
more
good
stuff?
that's a good question. I could never do listen, I worked at Nickelodeon, and they're a wonderful company, but I couldn't do a straight up Christian show and talk about prayer and faith and all that. I just couldn't do that. They just wouldn't put it on, only because that's just not what they do, and I get it. But I certainly try to use my faith as a stepping stone. Like, we're going to write stories about love and family and togetherness and things like that. But I never wanted to be sappy. Listen, I'm a Christian guy, and I've seen a lot of bad Christian entertainment. It's just really cheesy. It's really sappy. You want to support it, but it's not well made. Um,
Right.
Mostly because a lot of Christian people that will get financing don't hire people that have any filmmaking skill. They'll hire their pal who's always wanted to make a movie, um, and they've never made a movie. You know what I mean? So, as Christians, we have to learn how to compete with high quality stuff. It's just the truth. So I would, always want to put not Christian messages, but I want to put uplifting messages in my stuff. Absolutely.
Right. And so I want to get into right now the creative process. And I want you to take your time, because there's a lot of people, first of all, they say I'm not creative. And then there's some creative people who say, I can't be pumping creativity like you do every single week and different shows and different stuff. What is your creative process like? Or how? Yeah, I'll start. I'm asking too many questions at once. What's your creative process like?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. Like, I don't know. It's funny. I'm always writing stories, and I want to tell everybody out there who's an artist, who is a writer, who is a painter, who's a dancer, who's a musician, you're a storyteller. And I don't care what
Mm.
medium you use. For me, I use cartoons, I draw, I use animation. That's my medium. You, my friend Nazareth, you're a storyteller. I've heard you several times. You're absolutely hilarious. Um, but you tell a story, and that's what makes people get engaged. And you can say one-liner jokes and stuff, and that'll be a little like those will be like little sprinkles on top of the cake. But once you have that cake, once you have that story, boy, people love it. And so my creative process is, what story can I tell today? Well, how can I tell this story in a better way? When I'm writing an episode of The Garden, how do I do this? What's the best way? I have a team of writers that I work with. Sometimes I'll just come in here and I'll draw. I'll have a story that's already written, and I'll have to draw a background for it. Like, background is the set where the characters live. If it's a farm, or if it's an island, or if it's a fast food restaurant or whatever, how do you draw this? What will best convey the story? Is it moody? Is it like Batman? Is it black and scary? Or is it Superman, where it's bright and sunny? What is it? You have to really think about what the mood is. What type of story you're trying to tell. And by the way, all of this is hard work. You know, people think, oh, it's so easy. You're so talented. It must be easy for you. Not true. Not true. Just because you're talented doesn't make it easy. There's people out there that are more talented than me, and they have a hard time making stuff simply because it's challenging to tell a compelling story. It really is.
Right. I'm gonna look at questions and see. I know people ask questions and
You're off the mic. I can't hear you.
oh, okay. I'm trying to look at the
I can see
questions that
some of the
people.
questions. I saw
Oh,
some
okay.
uplifting in Danny Phantom, The Chosen. Some people talking about The Chosen. It's well made. Someone asked me if I've ever worked with the Bancroft brothers. Yes, I have. I never worked with them, but I know them. I love those guys. They're super talented Disney animators, former Disney animators, and they're identical twins. So if you lose one, you have a spare.
Chris Rossetti is asking who will be voicing the new characters. I do voiceover work, and he's really good too.
Okay, Chris. I can't reveal who the voices are yet. We have some top-notch, very well-known voice actors doing the show, The Garden, doing the lead characters. I can't tell you who they are yet, but I will soon. And good to know you do voice work. I hope you're getting a lot of work. That's awesome.
Where will that cartoon be shown? This is not yet, right? Or do we
Well,
know where?
we are currently working on where to show it. We have a lot of offers, and we're waiting because there really is no high quality Christian cartoon out there right now,
And let's see another
other
question.
than Veggie Tales. I can't think of it. There's a couple, but they're older. And Sarah says Butch is cracking me up. Thank you, Sarah. That's so nice of you. Nazareth's a funny one though. If we are nice to him, he might tell us a joke.
Oh, I can't right now, but people always told me to do voiceover. I don't know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Let's other question. The Chosen, yeah, Chosen is good. I think that's the best Christian work that came out so far. But until the Garden comes out. But what's your biggest challenge, Butch? What was your biggest challenge in your life?
My biggest challenge in my life. Wow, that's a very big question, my friend. I think being a husband and a father. I have two daughters. Now, it wasn't challenging to where I couldn't do it. I did. I rose to the occasion, I hope. You can ask my daughters that and my wife, but I've been married for 30 years. My two daughters are 26 and 24. When I say challenge, it wasn't a negative one or a bad one, but I wanted to make sure that I gave them an amazing life. That was my job as a father. I wanted to make sure that they have an incredible life, and I'm not perfect by any means, but I really hope they had an amazing life up to this point.
Now, when they were little, did you read them stories in these different voices, and did you
Oh
draw
heck
stuff
yeah!
for?
Oh yeah, I would read Spider-Man comics like, and then Spider-Man crawled along the wall and he fought the Green Goblin, and I would show the picture of the green, whatever. I would read comic books like storybooks, yeah, and I would I'd read Grover from Sesame Street, when I was doing I would read like kids books like that. So yeah, in fact, my wife always said it's no fair. You get to be funnier than me, and I look, I'm just weird. Okay, I'm not funny. I'm very very weird. Someone says I should animate Naz. Yes, well, he's already animated way too much. I don't know if you guys know that about him. He's actually a robot.
I am. Thank you.
Nazbot 3000.
Let me ask you this. I know you're in a job or in a career or in a business where it's so demanding and you have to produce shows. Have you ever felt that took away from your daughters and your wife time, or and how
I
did you handle it?
I'm listen. I definitely wish I didn't. Here's the thing. I worked an awful lot, but I always made sure I was home for my girls. I would always come home. I would get up about 6. I'd read my Bible. I'd work out. I'd go to work till about 6 p.m. Get home about 7 because about an hour drive, and then I would play really hard with my kids, eat dinner, put them to bed. Then I'd work till about 2 in the morning, and I repeat the process.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. Now, what do you think? Uh, the kids today are different when you first started Fairly Odd Parents and stuff, and now you're coming up with the new Fairly Odd Parents, right?
Yes. Well, first, to answer your first question, yes, of course, kids are different today. I mean, I started Fairly Odd Parents in uh, it aired as a show in 2000. So now we're 22 years later. That's a whole lifetime, basically. So there's cultural changes. Just pointing at the internet. I mean, the internet was around, but now it's our entire life. I remember I used to lose my cell phone because it wasn't part of my life. I couldn't find it, and I wouldn't even bring. I'd leave it in the car during the day, but now it's like never leaves my side. That's one big cultural change. Kids are different today. There's all kinds of things that kids are dealing with these days that we never had to deal with, and I think that it's challenging to stay up on that stuff. Sometimes we are making a new Fairly Odd Parents. It's called Fairly Odder. It's a live action Fairly Odd Parents show. It's on Paramount Plus. There's 13 episodes. They're hilariously funny. You guys should watch them. It's taking the Fairly Odd Parents, making it into live action with animated fairies. It is so much fun.
And now, of course, the storylines are different. Is it does it have to be darker than before or no?
I don't think so, not at all. It's actually a very bright, fun show. It's not dark in any way. Um, I think a lot of things there's a lot of subject matter out there for all kinds of movies that are dark and things, but not everything's dark. Fairly Odd Parents is a very light, uplifting show. It's always meant to stay that way. It's always meant to be something that's real. You laugh when you watch Fairly Odd Parents in a really silly way. You can just let go of the world for however long we want you to watch.
Now, have you ever said, "I'm done. I given up. I'm tired of just, doing
You mean
this.
on this? You mean on this podcast? Yes, about 10 minutes ago. I
I
was like, I'm so done. I've had it with you. Yeah, no.
know. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, is he feel the same way I do? No. This
Yeah.
is
Does he
this is
hate this
very
podcast as much?
interesting.
Are we both hating this podcast? No, I'm not at all. Have I
No.
ever said I'm done? Absolutely not. Do you know
No.
why I've said that? Here's why I've said that.
Why?
Here's why I've never said that. Because this is my one opportunity in my life to do all the wonderful things I've always wanted to do. And are there times where it's challenging and I get tired? Of course. But why would I ever want to stop doing this? This is what I've dreamed of my whole life. I see people all the time that I've met that have achieved their, I guess you would say their goal of whatever it was. And I'm just tired. I can't do it anymore. I'm like, why not? Why can't you handle it? I mean, this is what you dreamt of, yes, but as you rise up a level, every level is going to bring different challenges. You just have to be ready for them.
Now, when you are doing the garden and the garden is gonna come up and stuff, do you think you're gonna get heat from people who love the fairly other parents, and then they go, "Why is he doing Christian stuff?" Or do you
um
think
you
that would
know
be a
well, here's the thing. That's another dream of mine. I always wanted to make a cool Christian cartoon because when I became a Christian at age 35, I wanted my kids to watch some Christian programming, and I couldn't find any real good quality programming that I thought was good. That was just me. And I thought,
Mm.
I'm going to make a Christian cartoon someday. And that's what this is right now. This is going to be a Christian cartoon. And by the way, if people don't like it, they don't have to watch it. This is not, I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. If you don't like it, you don't have to even take a look at it. But I am making it for that one parent out there that might want to watch something like this. Maybe there's two parents. I don't know. But the main thing is there's scripture in it and there's Bible lessons, but it's really funny. The Garden's a funny show.
Now, being a Christian creator in Hollywood, how do you deal with controversy? There's always people who, the
Uh,
minute they know you're a believer or man of faith, they attack. How do you deal with that?
Well, Matthew 5:11 says that blessed are you when they revile and curse you and say all kinds of things falsely against you for my name's sake or on my behalf. For great is your reward in heaven. He says, because Jesus is saying, Jesus promises us persecution. Jesus doesn't bring the persecution, but he basically says, if you follow me, the persecution is going to come. But your reward is going to be great in heaven because you're blessed. Matthew 5:11 says, bless you, blessed. That means you're a blessed person. When controversy comes toward you on Jesus's behalf, if you speak for him and you get some flack, you're blessed. Now, it doesn't make the flack any easier sometimes. Sometimes people can say some very cruel things. I've had some very cruel things said about me, but then I'll look deeper into who says it, and these are younger people. Or sometimes they're younger people who may not know what they're saying, or sometimes they're older people who
Mm.
I don't know what their issues are. But the last thing you want to do, heard a very wise man say this, you stay on that racetrack. If you're in a race and you get off the racetrack to go up in the stands and argue with the spectators, you're going to lose the race. Don't get off the track. You stay on track and you keep running because that's the only way you're going to achieve your goal.
That is
Amen.
amazing. That's an amazing analogy. I love that, and that's amazing. Now, going back to the garden, I'm very excited about the garden. But now you said there's a Bible that's coming out with it, right? That's gonna.
Yes. Well, here's the deal. I've been illustrating a children's Bible for the last year and a half. There's over 500 illustrations. It's called the Garden Children's Bible, and it's through HarperCollins. It comes out in February of 2023. So we're less than a year away. And I'm just wrapping up my last few drawings of it. But it stars Lenny and Lucy. They're in this Bible, they're the stars of the Bible. And the cartoon will be coming out right around the same time. So you're going to see Lenny and Lucy all over the place. And I couldn't be more thrilled. I'm so excited.
How how do you think the Christian market is supporting you on this? Are they or they don't know about it yet?
Well, they don't really know about it yet. I really haven't told that many people about it, but the people that are supporting me are incredible. They're incredible people. We have a lot of amazing support on our side, and we're really making some amazing connections right now. We're really laying a good foundation for when the garden comes out, getting all of our social media strategy ready, getting all of our website stuff ready. In fact, you guys can go on gardencartoon.com right now.
God.
There's a landing page we have there. You can give me your email, and so when you guys go on gardencartoon.com, you can leave me an email, and I can get in touch with you and let you know all the updates. We're also designing a garden app. I can show you the opening page of the app if you want to
Yes,
see it.
please.
It's not done, but I just want to show you just the opening page. It looks like this right there.
Wow, that's
It's
beautiful.
it's the garden where the gospel grows. That's what we say.
All
And
right.
you can watch you'll be able to watch the episodes on there and play games, and we even have an amazing curriculum we're developing where you watch a show about patience, or a show about sharing. You'll be able to then watch the episode, but then curriculum, if you're a Bible teacher or a Sunday school teacher, you can then teach a lesson about sharing, about episode, about scriptures. You can teach it for 2 weeks.
That is amazing. And that's coming, a lot of times, sometimes I don't know if it's still the case, but how a lot of churches and Christians are always anti TV, anti Hollywood, anti
Well, I
anything.
can see why. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that I don't think kids should be watching, but I can see that. But I'd like to encourage those parents, those Christian parents, who want to protect their kids, and I completely understand. There are some great programs out there. There are some fantastic programs. You just have to hunt for them. You really have to hunt. Sometimes the noise and the craziness is so loud, it intimidates you and you back away. But if you look deeper and don't get intimidated by that stuff, you can really find some gem programs out there. Some really good stuff. Not Christian
So,
stuff. I'm talking secular stuff. It's just fantastic.
right. Now, uh, how do you, and I want you to speak to parents and to people about nowadays, our kids are anxious and depressed. There's a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. From your own personal opinion and experience, what do you think is Hollywood, is TV, is social media have a part to do with that? Is what do you think? I'll
Well,
let
I
you.
would I would say this. I mean, listen. I can't speak to any individual's personal feelings or how they're dealing with things. And if someone is dealing with those feelings of depression or things like that, that is absolutely tragic. And my heart goes out to you. And we love to pray for people like that. But I think Hollywood and media most definitely have a part to play, simply because a lot of things being put out there are very influential. Hollywood's very influential. Media is very influential. Now, is Hollywood completely to blame? Absolutely not. But there's a lot of things out there. That's why media is so powerful. You have to really be careful what you are putting your kids in front of. What are they watching? What's the subject matter? What are they listening to? You know, this isn't in the Bible, but it is a lesson I've learned. You become like the gods you worship. Whatever you're watching, whatever you're listening to, you'll become. The Bible says faith comes by hearing. Now, it could be good faith or it could be bad faith. You know what I mean? Bad faith is fear. You could be listening. If you watch the news 24/7 all day long, you're going to get fearful, because the news is designed to put fear in you,
Right.
because the fearful stories sell. The nice stories don't really get as much airtime because nobody watches them as much. So
Right.
you really got to be careful what you put your kids in front of. But there is still some good stuff out there.
Right. And Rochelle is asking, do you have a list of programs that you enjoy and would recommend for kiddos and families? I have 6 kids, ages 18 down to almost 8, and
Mm.
would love your input on some quality entertainment. We love watching movies and shows together.
Well, Rochelle, I think that's amazing. And do I have a list? I don't have one off the top of my head right now. I really don't. But I do know that PureFlix is a great streaming platform you could tune into. Maybe you already watched that. There's some stuff I'm developing. You'll be able to watch pretty soon. I know there's a lot of great family related platforms out there. There's one, I believe, that's called Liftable. Liftable TV is one that I've just recently run across. So you might want to check those out. Can't vouch for Liftable yet. I haven't watched it yet, but I know it's run by some amazing people. So check that out. But I'm slowly learning all this myself too, because I've been in the Hollywood thing for so long. Finding the other platforms out there is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to even learning more.
Have you ever felt what I'm not creative. I hit a plateau. I can't think of anything. What do I do? And what do you do? How do you deal with that and get over it?
Well, mainly when I'm around you, I don't feel very funny. So it's like, how can I be like Nazareth? How can I be funny like him? I don't get it. He's this amazing genius, and I feel just very small compared to your talent. No, how do I? You know what? I don't ever really. This is going to sound weird. I don't ever feel like I have a creative block. I'm always rolling. I'm always doing something. I never stop. I mean, yeah, of course I stop. I eat and I sleep and things like that. But I'm always, that's what I love to do. So I might not draw the best drawing of the day, but at least I'll draw something. Because at least if I draw something, I can fix it. If at least if I write something, I can fix it. Please don't be one of those people that sits out there and looks at a blank computer screen and doesn't do anything. You know, just don't sit there and keep it blank. Always fill it with something.
Now, do you what do you call it? Uh, do you have to do certain things like as a comedian? I have to read the paper. I have to go around people, put myself in different situations
Oh
so I
yes.
know whether you have to do that the same thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, we my stuff, the what I do isn't, I don't do topical stuff. Like I don't, I'm never going to write a cartoon about, you know, politics or about who just won the Academy Award, because it doesn't say timeless that way. You know, if I'd written a cartoon 20 years ago about, you know, the movie Out of Africa, you know, nobody would care right now. You know what I mean? But you want to write, you want to, I try and write things that say the word is evergreen. You want to make sure it's evergreen. Like it can play just as well now as it will 20 years from now. Will there be some stuff in there that might date itself? Absolutely. Fashions, phones, that type of thing. On Danny Phantom, we had a character who had technology of 2004. He had a Palm Pilot. That was his big thing, you know. So he had a Palm Pilot, but now we would never do the Palm Pilot. But that's a little thing that'll date things. But I try and keep things evergreen as much as I can. But yeah, but sometimes topical things will come in. Like you can write a thing about, I don't know, maybe there's a story about you know, global warming or taxes or things like you know, save the whales or something like that, or ecology, whatever it is. There's some general things, yeah, you can write about, but there's timeless things you can always write about, like the school dance or going on a date or being picked on at school or your parents not getting along. There's all kinds of things you can write about.
Have you done stuff on bullying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, all of my shows, I think, have had some sort of bully in the show. We make him a comedic bully who always gets his comeuppance. But yeah, because listen, kids face all kinds of obstacles in forms of bullies and other things too. I have mean teachers in my show. Fairly Odd Parents had a mean babysitter and a mean Timmy Turner really had a lot of challenges.
No. With these shows, are they similar to other shows to where you guys have to watch the ratings and have to wait for the awards and get
Oh yeah,
upset at other shows? How
oh
is
yeah,
that?
for
Have
sure.
you
Oh yeah.
guys won awards? Have you won awards?
Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom have won several awards. I personally have not, but some of my artists have won awards. We've been nominated for plenty of awards. I've been nominated for 4 Emmys for songwriting. We've been nominated for Best Show several times. And yeah, you go to the award shows, you got the little tuxedo on, you're sitting there, and you know, and it's heartbreaking when you don't win, but it's just great to be nominated. But you're like, I sure wish we would have won. That would have been nice. And then
Oh,
you see people you wish didn't win, they win, and you're like, how did they win and I didn't win? No, I'm kidding. We love everybody, but no, I'm kidding. It's great to see people win.
but was there stress on you? Like you felt stressed, like, oh, we gotta get the ratings up and we gotta
Oh,
write
ratings.
better.
Yes. Yeah. Ratings were huge. Yeah. If your show didn't do well, it would get canceled. Yeah. You had to keep those ratings up. Fortunately for me, we had an amazing team of writers, an amazing team of artists, and Fairly Odd Parents won. We did great ratings all the time. We never did bad ratings, and in fact, all my shows did really well in the ratings department for many years. Some of them didn't last as long as other shows, but Fairly Odd Parents ran for a great many years and always did well.
I have a question from a young person, like I think he's 10 or 12. Monty is wondering how you came up with the names Cosmo and Wanda.
Ah, okay. Real quick, when I drew Wanda, I initially named her Venus. I just thought Venus was a cool word, and so I drew her. And then Cosmo, I drew this character of Cosmo, and Seinfeld had just revealed Kramer's real name as being Cosmo, and
Uh-huh.
just that episode just came out like a week before, and I thought that's a great name. And believe it or not, I actually worked with a guy named Cosmo. He would walk the hallways, and there was a Cosmo in my office, and then Cosmo Kramer was on Seinfeld. And I went, Cosmo is a great name. And then I thought Cosmo and Venus. I didn't like that, so it just occurred to me Magic Wand and Wanda. I thought Wanda was it, so Cosmo and Wanda is where I got the names from.
Now, when you're not in that environment, the voiceover, the cartoons, all that, what do you like to do?
Oh, I like to work out, like to read my Bible, spend time with my family. I will be honest with you, this is going to sound really weird. I don't like to do really much anything else. I'm either drawing or I'm writing. I play a little guitar. I like to play guitar. I don't golf. I don't play sports. I could care less about sports. I like to go to the beach. And I like to fight crime at night. When you guys go to sleep, I'm fighting crime. So you're welcome, California. You're welcome.
And how do you do that? Because I do it too, and I maybe run into you once in a while, save the
Yeah,
world
exactly.
together.
Exactly. You're the I don't know what your superhero name is, but I know when you fight crime, you make them laugh and then you take them out.
Habib is my Habib,
Habib, oh that's good. That-
and Abdul his sidekick. No, if you were not an animator in that industry, what else would you've been doing? What do you think you would be doing if you were not in that
I
business?
would have liked to have been a musician probably. I'm not much of a musician now, but I do love to write songs. I've written all my own theme songs in my shows. I've written all my we have a bunch of songs that are in the shows that I've done. I've written all those songs. The Garden has a song in every episode that I write. So we're doing 40 episodes of The Garden. We're up to about episode 25 right now. So I've already written about 18, 19 songs for The Garden. I love writing songs because songs meant a lot to me growing up. I used to love the Monkees. I used to love the Beatles. I used to love Schoolhouse Rock, that type of stuff. So I used to love doing that. I used to love listening to music, so I love creating it too.
Now, what's the most embarrassing thing that happened to you?
Other than this podcast, um,
Thanks a
trying to
lot.
think. Other than this, no, the most embarrassing thing. Oh wow, I remember. Okay, here's one.
Okay.
I went in to go meet a movie producer,
Uh-huh.
and he was actually going to buy a movie from me. Had a movie idea, and I walk in, and we're talking, and it was going really well. And then he goes, "So, what are some movies that you've seen lately?" And I said, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" And it was a movie I just saw that I hated. This movie was terrible, and it was his movie. And
Oh,
yeah, it was a bad move, bad move. I didn't do my homework, and it wasn't just embarrassing; it was humiliating. And no, I've never seen that producer again. Shockingly enough.
no. Here's a question. I just for me, I don't know if the fan like. How do you have that beautiful hair and you maintain that? I'm covering your hair right now.
Oh, thank you. Well, there's a team of elves that come in at night and they stitch each one. The Lord says, "I know that all the hairs on your head are numbered. All my hairs are numbered." No, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful for my hair. I take very good care of it, and it's the lighting in here. It really is what it is. It's just the lighting.
That is just
And I'm a
amazing.
cartoonist. Cartoon characters have the same clothes on all the time. I have the same hair I've had since I was like 25, so it's the same thing.
Now, if you were asked, you can only either do voiceovers, you can only do drawing, or you only write, or you only direct. If you only have to choose one, what would you choose?
I'd probably choose drawing. That's what I started off doing. I love drawing. I love all of them, but if I had to choose one, if there was a gun to my head and Nazareth couldn't get there in time as Habib to stop the gun, I would probably have to choose drawing.
Drawing.
Yes.
Wow. That what? Okay, someone Monty says you look like Tom Cruise. Okay, that's right. And Butch's hair has made Nez covet. I did. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. No, it's
Ah.
funny. I used to be a double for Tom Cruise for movie posters. Um, I was with an agency, and this was like back in the early '90s. And when they would do a Tom Cruise movie, instead of Tom Cruise coming in to pose for all these conceptual things, they would have me come in and I'd be with a photographer for like 8 or 9 hours. We would try all kinds of different shots for concepts for movies, and then Tom Cruise would look at them. And but anyway, I doubled for him on certain movie posters.
That's wonderful. What do you call it? Let's see. Awesome guest and host. I have to read that, of course. Uh, what? Uh, how do you encourage people right now? Let's say you are a pastor in your own sense because you're really putting in that new show, The Garden. You're actually preaching to kids,
Hmm.
or giving them positive. Now, do you do you have theologians that you have to refer to? Go, is this story correct? Is this the right way we're putting this?
Right now, I've been studying the Bible so much for 20 years. My writers know the Bible. Uh, when you say theologians, I mean, what is a theologian? Is a
Like a
theologian? No, no,
uh,
no. I'm just asking this as a
yeah.
rhetorical question. So,
Okay.
is a theologian someone with a degree, or is it someone who loves the Lord and reads the Bible every day and who has a relationship with Christ? You know what I mean? What does that
Right.
mean? I will basically will. I mean, Billy is a show for kids 3 to 8. It's a very younger show than Fairly Odd Parents, but we want to make sure we're giving correct information. So absolutely, we check our information as best we can. We make sure the stories are correct. I take opinions from everybody on the team. Is this how you interpret this scripture? And we definitely go through, I guess you would say, a testing process of our team. We don't focus test it on the kids until it's when it's done. We'll get some opinions on that. But yeah, we don't have a big theological. I don't have a room full of monks with quill pens or anything like that. Although I'm trying to get one.
I think I can.
You know how
I have free
expensive? You know
time.
how expensive? Yeah, quill pens are very expensive. I'm telling you.
Okay. This time flew. I want in this last moment two questions. The second one would be about how can people get, we're going to go to the gardencartoon.com, or how can people get a hold of you for speaking engagement stuff. I remember when we were in Hawaii the last time and you gave the morning devotion, and I was like, I have to admit, I was like, oh, okay, let me see the creative part. You were just boom, you were right on, really wonderful devotion.
Oh,
And
thank you.
so in this moment, in the next few minutes, there's 65 people watching right now, but there's gonna be 3 to 8,000 people that's gonna download the show and listen to audio. Can you encourage them in this time of day coming out of COVID? People are either down, anxious, fearful, and some people are like, I don't know what to do with my life. Can you encourage them as a Christian creative man?
Absolutely. And by the way, thank you so much for giving me this platform tonight, Nazareth. It's so kind of you. And
Oh,
I
oh,
just want to,
oh,
I just pray a blessing over your life because I know that all you do is minister to people. You're a very funny guy, but I know your heart is for the Lord, and that's amazing. It's an amazing thing. It truly, truly is. Um, I just want to encourage people in this way. You know, COVID isn't the last challenge you're going to face. There's going to be other
mm,
challenges out there. I hate to break that to you, but there's going to be all kinds of things, maybe worse than COVID. I don't know. I can't predict the future. Thank goodness. Um, I can't even go back in time because if I could, a lot of things would be different. Let me tell you that. But I would reduce the price of Disneyland, number one. Anyway, um, but I just want to tell you guys. Look, Mark 11:23 says that if you speak to the mountain and don't doubt in your heart, you can cast it into the sea. And the key part about that phrase is don't doubt. If you don't doubt the Lord, you can do anything. Everyone Jesus ever came up to, he healed them. But he would first ask them, what do you want me to do for you? Do you believe I'm able to do this? He didn't ask them about their past. He didn't condemn them. He didn't say, well, have you done this and this? And have you said 7 Hail Marys? Have you written something, a letter to your pastor? He didn't say any of that. Just like, do you want me to heal you? Yes. And so Jesus would heal anybody. He will take anybody. He will take even you. And don't be condemned about your past or things you think you've done wrong. The Bible says there's no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. You're not condemned. He doesn't condemn you, so don't you condemn you. You can cast aside any mountain. And Mark 11:24 says, whatever things you ask for when you pray, you believe you receive them and you shall have them. I want you to understand that. if you're creative in any way at all, you've got to bring Jesus the smallest portion with the loaves and the fish. He had 5 loaves and 2 fish. If you really break down the Hebrew of loaves, it's actually crackers. It was a little boy's lunch, little fish, little crackers, and he turned it into food for 5,000 people. He can do the same for you, but you got to bring something. You have to bring him your idea, bring him your heart, bring him something to work with. He will multiply it for you.
That's amazing. That's very encouraging. Butch, how can people, let's say someone, a pastor of a large church or someone who has a nonprofit or a corporation or someone, they have a club or something they want you to speak to. You do speaking engagement, right?
Absolutely. If you'd like me to come and speak about Hollywood, about how to be a Christian in the entertainment industry, or just to talk about the Bible, I love talking about that. My wife and I have a marriage ministry. You can
Oh,
here's a
cool.
there's many things. Here's one. My wife and I have a healing ministry on YouTube called Healing Journeys Today. My wife
Oh,
started that. Healing Journeys Today. It's on YouTube. It's all about healing. And my wife was very sick for many years, and she got divinely healed. So she has 7 teachers on there, one every day of the week. They teach live. Each one has been through a miraculous healing, and it's absolutely free. It's on YouTube. You can also get a hold of me at askbutchhartman@gmail.com. That's my email.
okay.
Askbutchhartman@gmail.com. Gardencartoon.com is where the garden is. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm just Butch Hartman on all of those. And so you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I think I'm on Twitter as Fairly Odd Father. I just started a new account because my last account got hacked. I was on Twitter for 11 years, had 160,000 followers. My account got hacked. I lost everything. Twitter said we
Ah,
can't help you, so I had to start a new account over.
that's painful.
Yeah.
But you know what? Thank you for accepting to be on this podcast. I have to tell you the time before last this last time in Hawaii when we were together, my kids were in Maui at a very nice resort where we did the conference, and the highlight of their trip was you drawing the fairly odd parents
Are you
for them.
serious?
Oh, they still have those pieces of paper, and that was, and when they saw you last time, when we the first day, like, oh, Butch Hartman is here. I'm like,
Uh,
yeah. So
I am very touched, and tell your kids thank you. And also, I have a YouTube channel too. It's just called Butch Harmon. You can find me on
Butch
YouTube as well.
Hartman, yes.
I
You
see
don't
a
think?
question here. Sarah says, "Is there anything that Butch would like us to pray for him?" I
Yes,
appreciate that, Sarah. If you could pray for me for divine connections and supernatural results for the garden, I'd appreciate that.
we will be. We'll be praying for that. That God will bring the resources. If there's someone who said, "I want to invest in the kingdom. I want to be able to." I'm sick and tired of how kids today are seeing all this garbage and all this trouble. If you want to invest into that, you can go to Ask Butch Hartman at Gmail and find out. Talk to him and say, "Hey, listen, I'd like to plant seed into your ministry in the garden. Hey, plant seed in the garden, and
Thank
find out. You know what? You'll be partnering with God to do work that bring encouragement and just some good stuff for our children and grandchildren. So Butch, you've touched millions of kids and you're amazing. I love you. I'm
you.
honored to have you on this podcast,
I'm
and
honored to be here. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. We
thank you,
got
my
to iron
brother.
sharpens iron, man. We got to sharpen each other and go see Iron Man
Amen.
at the same time.
I call that coffee together. We
Yes,
will.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Thank
Love
you
you,
so
man.
much.
And thank you to your audience. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the kind things you said tonight.
Oh, we love you, man. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And this is the first time we try TikTok. We're live on TikTok, and I don't know how many people joined and what happened, and I didn't say hi to them like I should, but here it is. So thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you on Thursday night, this coming Thursday on Live with Naz, Facebook under Comedian Nazareth, show number 447. And we can laugh for an hour together, 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. Join us on Facebook under Comedian Nazareth on Thursday. Love you guys and have a great night. Thank you so much. Yes.